Hey, I wanted to do a quick video of our property management strategy. It's really important to understand the differences, and I'll explain the 100% lease at the end of this. But at pmohio.org is our landing page. You can go sign up for our property management, or you can go to realincomeproperties.blogspot.com. That gives you all the numbers of our clients, and that'll be on every slide as you look. So you can go there and actually see the returns. And those are amortized over the years that we've done that property. So, for example, if it says 23%, that's over the 5, 3, 5, 4, 6 year period that we ran it per year, not 1 year. So you can see the numbers and do them yourself. But it's a really, really good strategy. And I kind of wanted to go through it. One thing that we do is we lease for top dollar, and that is not easy to do because there's a lot of work to that. I was looking at a property that was rented for $1,350 that should have been rented for $1,650. That's $3,600 difference. So we'll go over that later. But marketing the property correctly will get you to your optimum return, and you need the maximum return. I know some tenants, that's been there. You move in later. You want to be careful about when the gap gets to be too much between an existing tenant and the current market rates, and maybe you want to make a change. It's up to you, but we do it all the time. Or make sure that those particular properties are raised during that time. But marketing the property is crucial. We do it a totally different way than anybody else. And I'll go through that in a little while here. So let's go to the next one. And so we lease the property to qualified tenants. What does that mean? We do background credit checks. Lori does that, and we call the employer. We meet with the tenants. We call their last landlord. We do all that, and the only time that would slip through or not slip through but be approved is we had a couple clients that come in that had evictions. We told them that you couldn't move in, and they paid 1 year in advance plus a deposit, and those one was $1,600 and the other one was $1,700 a year month. So you can do the numbers. That's a lot of money. So we went ahead and pre-approved them, and both of them, one's lived there for 3 years, and the other one's on their second year. So it's worked out very, very well. So they're all picked, and we do background, everything, and everything is done in detail, because if it isn't, then you're kind of, you're in trouble. The other thing that's important, because people don't really think about the rehab and all that stuff, is our tenants' average stay is 24 months. That's in homes, residential, but they stay 24 months is average. We've had them up to 6 years. But it's crucial to understand that you don't have to do rehab during that time, and you just keep getting rent checks. So 24 months is a very, very good time. But most, we've had them up, like I said, 6 years, 4 years, 5 years. My own personal ones, I've had them in 4 or 3 years, something like that. So it's really a good thing if tenant stays, because rehab is undone. You don't have to move them out. You don't have to clean it all up and redo it all. They stay there. That's important. What do we actually do? What does the property management company actually do for you? Well, we get you insurance if you need it, property insurance. We'll get you a warranty if you need it. We have a great warranty. And maintenance. Maintenance is crucial because sometimes it's like Christmas Eve. We had one, and we had some others. Not a ton of those type, but all kinds of maintenance, which doesn't amount to much most of the time, needs to be addressed so you keep that tenant paying the rents. And so we do that. We have a full-time crew that does that. We've had them for a long time. Property taxes. We see a lot of people who don't pay their property taxes or forget to pay their property taxes. We remind them of that. And then there's city codes. What are city codes? A lot of cities come out. They'll look at the property, say, hey, this needs to be done or that. It's usually pretty minor, but you still got to do it. And you got to make sure that you do it. We had one over in Cleveland the other day that they left their vehicle, which they came the next day and got, but we had to push them a little bit to get that, but it's all taken care of. But the city was good. We're good with the cities. It's very, very important that you talk to the cities. City inspections, sometimes they have that. South Euclid has it. Parma has it. Some of them have it, and they require certain things. Some of it's reasonable, some of it isn't, but we deal with each one of them to make sure that you're getting a fair square deal, and most of the time they come out just perfect. Occupancy permits needs to be done in each city. That keeps you compliant with the city. So you don't want to, you don't want to not do that, because if you do, then the city's not going to like you, and that's going to be a problem. Then they're going to start watching you, and that's not a good thing. And then tenant calls, we handle those too. Tenant calls, the phone's always answered by somebody that takes care of their situation. An emergency gets transferred to us, and all the stuff. We had one over in Cleveland when it was really cold and the heat went out one night, and he had a warranty, and so the guy wasn't coming out till the next day on a Saturday because it was Friday night. So we sent a guy over there with heaters and put them all in there, so there was no issues at all. Wasn't giant costs with busted pipes and stuff of that nature. So all that's taken care of here. Lease payments, those are important. We have many ways for a tenant to pay. They can Zelle. There's all drop it off. If they say, hey, we want to pay by check, well, it has to be dropped off at the office. They can't mail it. So it's always dropped off at the office, or they can pay it online on their portal. There's many, many ways to do it. And we have all that set up for each tenant. Eviction works pretty good here. So if it's after the 5th, they get a 3-day notice. Usually they pay. We have very few evictions, but when we do, we have an attorney and all that. We know the city rules, and we know how to get them out pretty quick. And that's important, because if you don't do that, then you have to get in and get it taken care of. But evictions are important to get them out as quick as you can. Non-payment issues, again, that's part of the eviction, but sometimes the tenant will call and say, hey, we got some issues. Here's what's going on. And Lori, at no charge, will call. She knows some places that can get grants for a couple months or a month to keep this tenant moving until they're back on their job and going. So I don't know how many deals we saved like that, but I don't know of any other property management that does that. But Lori does do that, and we do get the payments, and we get them paid. Move-in's important. When they move in, you got to give them the keys, make sure they're happy, and leave. You got to do a walkthrough. Make sure everything's working. All that's important for that tenant to be satisfied with, because they're paying $1,500 and up on these houses. I mean, it goes all the way up to $2,200 a month, and they need to be right. The move out, that's important too. So we go over there as soon as they say they're moved out. We go over and get pictures. We want to make sure that how much of the deposit we're going to keep and send back. That's important. That's the move out. And then we want to get a little quote put together and get the thing back on the market ASAP. Signed leases, another gigantic thing. So you want to have signed leases saying that, hey, because you can't evict them if you don't have signed leases. And then utilities. Utilities, when somebody moves in and moves out, have to be treated differently. So those are all directed through the property management. The water bill is we watch those very closely. The tenant has to pay it, but we make sure that they do, because in the Cleveland water company, the owner's on the hook for water, no matter what. So we watch that and make sure that those, once it gets over a certain amount, they get a 3-day notice. Lawn maintenance, well, there's another one, and when they move out or or working on it, that's important, because the city will slap a sticker on, mow it, and you got a $150, $200 bill. We don't want that. Then your 1099 tax forms done through our AppFolio system. Rehab, we have all that. We get in and out. That's why we keep no problems with our empty houses. Questions, we're always here for that, for tenants and owners. Vacancy issues, and we don't really have those. A lot of companies do. I was talking to one out of another state that had 21 vacancies. They didn't know what to do because they didn't know how to market. Marketing's a different part of the whole formula. A lot of people they put the lease so cheap that it rents fast, and they're like, wow, it's because they're below market. And so we always make sure we get the top market, and we still don't have the vacancy issues, but we really work that hard, and I'll show you that in a minute. Updates, you're always going to get update videos during any rehab, and you're going to get before and after pictures. Lease increases, we do those. And we work with the tenant, we get as much as we can. At that point, it's up to the owner, but we do get lease increases, a lot of them. Insurance repairs, we do those. We actually have somebody on staff that knows that software very well. And if we need to, have trees or something happen, we deal with the insurance. We did that with the Christmas Eve deal. We're fabulous, and we do much more than that. But these are some of the main things that we do as a property management, because property